It's time to talk about an example of mediocrity and just plain unfairness in retro gaming. I'm talking about Golden Axe, and whether you played it in the arcade or on the Sega Genesis, you have witnessed the cheap shots and dirty plays the enemies in this 1989 title are more than happy to unleash upon you. There's a difference between difficulty in a game and just plain unfairness. Being surrounded by enemies and getting beat over the head multiple times when you're trying to defeat the final boss is something that I have no patience for. Personally, I'm a bigger fan for the side-scrolling Magic Sword series that shares many similarities with Golden Axe. Yes, I know, I need to show respect, since many gamers regard this series as one of the best during the classic arcade era. And I'm not one to disagree. Considered an arcade legend by many critics, Golden Axe takes place in the Conan the Barbarian-like land of Uria, and follows three heroes as they try to save the king and princess of Uria from Death Adder, an evil giant clad in battle gear and wielding the Golden Axe, the Urian royal family's treasure. Gilius Thunderhead is an axe-swinging, white-bearded dwarf who is fighting to avenge his twin brother's death at the hands of Death Adder's armies. Axe Battler is a warrior who, besides having a badass name that would probably work better as a thrash metal band's name, looks more like a pro wrestler than someone who is trying to avenge his mother's murder. Now, would that mean her name is Mrs. Battler? Then we have the fiery red vixen Tyrus Flare, who fights in a skimpy bikini. Her parents are also murdered by Death Adder. Basically, Death Adder just likes to mess with powerful people's loved ones. The main reason I keep slamming my controller on the ground when I play this game is because your enemies know exactly how to surround you and start beating on your head until you've lost all your energy. I don't care what anyone else says. This isn't difficult. It's cheap. It reminds me of the first Final Fight, and while I was better at that game, I still lost a considerable amount of lives, simply trying to defeat 3 enemies on the screen. It may mean I suck at either game, but as I said before, a game is not difficult when you simply can't utilize attacks normally. It's just poorly made. Your attacks, beyond the physical swinging of your weapon, are Earth, Wind, and Fire for Gilius, Axe, and Tyrus, respectively. Collect enough blue bottles of what appears to be magic potion from the squirrel-like sprites you see on your screen to make each elemental attack stronger. Another feature added to your arsenal are the creatures you're able to ride. There's this strange-looking cockatrice that looks like it came from the Lorax, and a dinosaur-like fire-breathing dragon that shoots fireballs at your enemies. Utilize one of these suckers and your enemies will be crushed underfoot, unless of course they time their jump kick perfectly. I'll make a brief mention of Duel Mode, a survival mode where you defeat waves of enemies at a time to see how long you can last. But personally, I have a hard enough time lasting through half a level and getting cheap-shotted by my adversaries. Jerks. I'd recommend playing through this with a buddy, as there is a co-op mode, and maybe you won't get your ass kicked so easily. I know, I'm taking my poor ability in Golden Axe kinda personally, but a game's no fun when you're up against the last boss, and all he does is stand there while his skeleton minions surround me and do all the work for him. Yeesh.